Anything else you want to say?
Oh, no, I can't answer any more questions until I have a parent or lawyer present.
Mom, can you pick me up? I'm scared.
Now, here's what we're gonna do.
No,
we're gonna...
come quick. They've gone wild. The girls have gone wild. It was full tilt jungle madness. And it wasn't going away.
Hell no! I did not leave the South Side for this.
Oh, crap! My hair!
Oh, junior girls report to the gymnasium immediately.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me here for Conversations with Taz for the Sunday Sit Down. We got a lot to catch up on. A lot has happened over the weekend. Some things I was expecting, some things not so much. Let's start with the government shutdown. Everybody by now should know that we avoided a government shutdown, but leading up to the salvation moment, I guess you could call it, McCarthy started blaming Democrats for the shenanigans that he knows were being imposed by his far-right cohorts. Now, the House drafted short-term CR did pass the House with a vote of 335 to 91. Now, the government shutdown bill HR 5860 gives the government, a 45-day extension to get it together. Now, McCarthy appears to have called the bluff of the far-right naysayers. Now, this bill does not include any aid for Ukraine, and the bill was 75 pages. So if you watched the news and you were wondering why Hakeem Jeffries was speaking for so long, to give the Democrats a chance to read through the bill, just to make sure there weren't any secret surprises in there. Now, the GOP did not want to give the Democrats proper time to read the CR, the bill. In the Senate vote, it was stalled for a period of time by Democrat Michael Bennet, and it was stalled due to the lack of continued aid to Ukraine. It was passed with 3 hours and 53 minutes remaining until the deadline. Now, what's included in HR 5860 is short-term. Remember, it's a short-term funding bill. It's valid until November 17th, and it includes disaster relief funds, which are highly needed, but it does not include aid to Ukraine, which was a key point for Democrats, and it did not include any funding for border security, which was a key point for the GOP. Now, As of today, there were a few programs that were ending. From what I gathered, there was some budgetary things put in there regarding SNAP, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So I'm just going to tell you. Now, these were COVID era safety nets that were put into place. So with these things ending, approximately 48 million people within the United States will be affected. And that is the student loan pause, child care subsidies, and certain requirements and points regarding food assistance, aka SNAP benefits. Now, with the student loan pause, you'll have approximately 44 million people affected. This will be the first payments since March of 2020. And as much as it pains me, this is something that was started under the Trump administration. Now, those holding loans and those that are like, it'll stimulate the economy, they're saying that because there was lost interest due to no interest accumulation. So they're estimating $200 billion in interest was lost. But I look at it in the flip side. That's $200 billion that was able to allow stimulation to the economy. People could pay bills without having to hold their breath and having to rob Peter to pay Paul. And they could go out and, buy a little coffee, see a little movie, go out to a little dinner date. But if you do have student loans, you can utilize the SAVE program. It is a type of remedy for the holdup. It is income based, and depending on your income, you may continue to have zero payments. It's no guarantee, but you will need to go onto the website and apply. Now, the next is a Biden and Democrat program, and that is the safety net regarding child care. This will lead to approximately 3 million children losing access. Now, the state with the biggest chunk that's going to be affected is Texas. It's looking like more than 305,000 children could be displaced. And this is primarily because Texas does not have any state level safety nets that other states do. There's a potential of 70,000 closings that could occur, and a projected increase of 40% in the rates and fees attached to daycare. And as far as SNAP assistance, the work requirements are restarting. They were temporarily halted because, like I said, these were COVID era safety nets, and there will be new requirements for people 50 to 40 years old. Previously, the restrictions were only up to age 49. So it looks like they're going to make you work a little bit longer. And up to 1 million people could possibly lose their SNAP benefits. So fun. No, it's not completely off the table. Now on to the Trump trials. On Friday, there was a court filing regarding Trump's comments in his speeches and his social media presence, where it was noted that there is a need for a further push for the narrow gag order. And there was a filing regarding that. And this comes weeks after the initial request. Trump's rhetoric has increased since that time. On October 16th, there will be a hearing with Judge Chutkan regarding the narrow gag order. Now, the bench trial in New York State regarding fraud will begin. That is tomorrow. And Trump will be appearing in court to avoid a deposition in the civil case that he has going on in Florida. And that civil case is Trump suing his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, who's also a witness in the case that begins tomorrow. And Trump told the judge in Florida that he couldn't sit for the scheduled deposition for tomorrow due to the fraud case in New York starting. This once again goes to show that Trump does not listen to his attorneys, and he has no idea how the judicial system works, even though through the years we know he's constantly threatening to sue people. Under law, Trump does not have to be present starting tomorrow. He doesn't even have to be present until he's called to testify. Remember, he is on the witness list there. Now, regarding the Fulton County case, this week, Sidney Powell will be presented with a plea deal. And given the charges and the fact that Hall had a hearing regarding his plea deal on Friday, she is looking real likely that she might flip. She might flip and take the plea deal. Now, Trump and the Magadonians, the MAGA, ultra MAGA politicians, wanted a government shutdown as a measure of delaying Trump's federal prosecutions. Problem is, federal proceedings do not cease during shutdowns. And also regarding the New York State fraud trial, notable witnesses are Donald Trump, as I said before, Eric, Don Jr., Ivanka, Michael Cohen, Alan Weisselberg, Alan Garten, and Eric Brunette. There are also 28 additional witnesses. And speaking of Trump, remember a day after Biden went and addressed the UAW workers that were striking in Michigan, Trump had a speech of sorts, a mini rally, I guess. And he tried to match it up as closely as he could to the second GOP debate. Here is some additional information from behind the scenes of that speech. And if you remember, I kept saying something seems off about this. They're awfully focused in on just Trump and not the crowd. Here's why.
Show up if you want to get paid or burn one of your days off. And by the way, if you're not there, you're not eligible for overtime. CNN obtaining this memo sent to Shell union workers at the Beaver Creek, Pennsylvania plant ahead of Trump's Tuesday visit. And the memo is written by a contractor for Shell, we're told. It reads in part, no yelling, shouting, protesting, or anything viewed as resistance will be tolerated at the event. Those who are not in attendance will not receive overtime pay on Friday.
So on top of there being fake auto workers, they're holding auto workers signs for Trump. On top of there being fake union workers there saying UAW for Trump, there were people who were forced to be there or not receive proper pay. They couldn't object. And I'm very, very certain that that memo was leaked because of the number of people who do not agree with Trump's rhetoric. And now their faces are being plastered all over the place as if they're in support of Trump. But it won't matter to his sycophants, because once again, in our latest edition of Trump Fans Said What?
So what if he wants to grab pussy? I want to grab pussy. I wish I could grab as much pussy as he is.
Well, I'd like to grab Al Qaeda by the pussy and shove some Yankee Doodle dandy right up its ass. I got news for you. I asked a lot of women here, and half of them would love to have their pussy snatched by Trump. I got news for you.
Mm-hmm. That is news to me.
One man's sexual assault is another man's flirtation.
You must be quite the charmer with the ladies.
I used to be. You know, I got the ring now. One of them landed me. She even squeezed it so I can't get it off because she saw that I took it off once and there was a little mark there. So she's no dummy.
Oh, well, I think she's a dummy if she thinks somebody else is going to you.
It's locker room talk. That's what boys do. He didn't do it.
Well, I don't talk like that.
Well,
do you have any children?
I do.
Do they talk like that?
No, they don't.
So not those boys.
Well, no, not
do you have
those
a husband?
boys. I do.
Does he talk like that?
No.
Well, not that boy.
No.
Is that how you talk?
Well, no, but I feel like he says.
Is that how your dad talks?
Well, no, but.
Is that like your pastor talks?
No, not
So
necessarily.
who talks like that?
Well, obviously Donald Trump.
It was stupid bragging men talk. Men brag.
We brag, right? You brag a bit, right?
Not exactly, but I know quite a few people that do.
And background dab.
Grab it while you can, Trump.
What is it?
The yeah, grab it all while you can. Except I can't talk like that in front of my daughter.
You just did. These things you say, people.
It's men talk. But all the men, I don't talk like that. One man's sexual assault is another man's flirting. But we're not supposed to say all men, right? We're not supposed to say all men, right? Never knew in all these rotations around the sun that flirtation involved force. Interesting. Now, keep in mind, as we move forward with all of these cases with Trump, statistically, 90% of people that are prosecuted take plea deals. So I would say be prepared for additional plea deals to hit the table and people start flipping on Trump. Like I said, Sidney Powell will be offered a plea deal this week. And given how things are stacking up, it would be in her best interest. But, you know, she's also been referred to as the Kraken. So, and she believed a woman and put herself in legal jeopardy that said that she saw election fraud in a dream. But honey, let's get into the juicy story of the day. Now, everybody's been talking about Matt Gaetz trying to revoke Kevin McCarthy's speakership. And it has been all over the place. Even this morning, CNN had him on. He's been making the rounds, puffing up his chest like a whew, and acting like he has all the power to control the whole government. But honey, Gaetz says, and I told y'all this last week, he said that he would start the move either today or early this week, start the process of removing McCarthy. Now, another round of speaker voting would definitively eat away at the 45-day extension that they just accumulated last night. So this could push us back into a looming shutdown situation that, as Biden said today, is a manufactured crisis. But here's the thing. Gaetz's obsession with owning McCarthy is causing GOP reps to turn on him, amongst other things. There are House GOP members that are reportedly preparing to expel Gaetz. And this is down to at any day now, okay? Now, the only holdup is they're waiting to see if the Ethics Committee report finds Gaetz guilty. The report is said to be mostly written, but right now, no one outside the Ethics Committee knows yet what the findings are, what's in it. And there was a quote from an unnamed representative. No one can stand him at this point. A smart guy without morals. I don't know how smart he is. I don't know how smart he is. Now, let's get into this Ethics Committee investigation. This is a Republican-led Ethics Committee investigation. Now, we remember the first one where the Democrats were in charge of the House, and then the DOJ was like, you all really aren't coming up with anything. You might want to put the kibosh on it. Well, nah, baby. This year in July, the Republicans was like, hold up, wait a minute. Wait a damn minute. We already got shit going on with Trump. We got shit going on over here. We got shit going on over there. Let's make sure. Because Matt Gaetz, he don't even know how to be quiet and fall to the background. And I think if he wouldn't be so boisterous, there wouldn't have been an investigation. But since he always wants camera time, they can't take another embarrassment, is it? So the investigation was revived and witnesses were contacted and documents were obtained. The focus of the investigation were allegations of sexual misconduct, illicit drug use, and other misconduct, including potential public corruption. There's a whole lot of corruption going on Capitol Hill. Maybe we need to bring back Schoolhouse Rock so we can teach people who work on Capitol Hill how not to be corrupt. And Schoolhouse Rock could teach us about a bill. They could teach them. Now, the committee chair is Michael Gaetz, a Republican out of Mississippi. In July, McCarthy was asked about the investigation, and he told the press that he knew nothing about the investigation. Now, did McCarthy appoint the people to the ethics committee? Yes. Does he have any say-so on who they investigate, how, when, or what goes on? No. Do they have to report back to him? No. Checks and balances. Now, a motion to expel takes a vote of 2/3 in order to pass. I think they have that quite easily. The way people are talking, the Hill is a buzz about their disdain of Matt Gaetz. See, they're not afraid of him like they are Trump. They can't stand Trump, but they're afraid of Trump because I guess Trump got stuff on everybody. Okay. And but Matt Gaetz, they're like, baby, you are expendable. Okay. And we're not talking about Sly Stallone and them expendables. Okay. No, he is expendable. Like he can go out with the Monday trash and ain't nobody gonna miss him. Okay. And it's rumored, just a little scuttlebutt, okay, a little scuttlebutt, that Matt Gaetz is upset with McCarthy for not intervening with the ethics committee investigation into him. This is why I say Matt Gaetz is not very smart. You cannot sit here and say that Joe Biden and the Democrats have a strong hold on the Department of Justice and the checks and balances within the government, and you're upset because people in the Republican Party are not doing the same thing. Because other people in the Republican Party realize we can't do what we're accusing them of. People are catching on to the fact that projection is a confession. We got to have some stuff to shake it up. You got to be investigated, my boy. You keep saying you didn't do X, Y, and Z. But what it's looking like, at least from 2 of the witnesses that they saw, like I said, just a little scuttlebutt, just a little Capitol Hill scuttlebutt, okay? It's looking like from at least 2 of the witnesses, Gaetz is guilty. But, like I said, it's Republican-led. Either this Republican-led investigation is going to show that they're really tired of him, or it's going to show just how strong they are in covering for each other. We're going to see if there's a blue line to cross on Capitol Hill, or, you know, if they really going to get rid of him. We going to see. We going to see. But, yeah. And it won't be to the report where we know specifically what the documentation is that they acquired. But whatever that documentation is, it's got Gaetz sweating. Because from what I could piece together, when Gaetz went to McCarthy, it's after Gaetz got wind of documentation being obtained. So I'm thinking this documentation truly and thoroughly backs up whatever the witnesses said. So, you know, it's a double whammy coming from McCarthy. McCarthy, you know, kind of put him in his place when Gaetz was trying to flirt with Cassidy Hutchinson up at Camp David. And then this, yeah, but we women and femme-presenting individuals are super emotional. I don't think so. I don't think so. But, you know, the GOP is good for life. And here's another example of it.
let's talk about the White House and the Senate. I mean, Democrats are clearly, they're fine with shutdowns. They shut down the whole country over COVID for far too long, and the American people suffered. I promise you, most Americans aren't too worried about the government shutting down, which is a serious problem. But this is because Democrats shut down the country. So there needs to be, people here in Washington need to understand how it feels to be shut down, because the American people know exactly how that feels. They lost their businesses, they lost jobs, kids lost almost 2 years of school. So, I mean, this.
Can we make a pact right now to stop electing people who failed civics? Here's the thing. The country was not shut down. The country went into lockdown. Things were able to keep moving. And if you didn't take anything else out of lockdown, please take this fervently into consideration, and why I have a problem with certain business owners and CEOs. Yes, there were businesses that shut down. Did they need to shut down? No. The lockdown showed you the lack of creativity and the lack of critical thought within the United States. There was a business just up the street and across the street from me that ended up shutting down. One, would not follow the mask mandates. Lost a lot of employees due to sickness and death because of that. Two, they had a delivery window. They could have done deliveries and turned their wait staff, the people who worked up there, I knew them. All of them had vehicles. They could have been delivery drivers. They could have still had their hourly wage and still collected tips. Did they do that? No. And there were people that were like, well, my business isn't essential. Every business is essential to somebody. Everything that is sold generally sells every day. There's somebody who needs it, wants it, whatever. And businesses need other businesses to survive, and people did not know how to adapt. I'm sure you all have worked with somebody that, say you're a cashier and there's a glitch with the cash register for a second, and they may have to do something by hand, and they can't. They can't adapt. They can't change. And too many business owners were in that gap. The country went into lockdown, not shutdown. And the government shutdown, MTG is saying it as if just Capitol Hill and the Pentagon would be shut down and nobody else. Talking about the people don't care. The people do care. The people do care. And Marjorie, you have been in Congress through a shutdown before. But you're going to lie to people about it. And the saddest part about it is there are Magadonians that will sit there knowing they're not about to get a check, knowing their benefits are going to be kaput, knowing that medical trial they need to get into in order to stay alive potentially would have been shut down. They're like, oh yeah, the government shutdown isn't that big of a deal. The amount of comments that I've seen on social media alone where people are like, yeah, let them shut it down. Let them shut it. Okay, Barbara. Okay, when you get backed up on them bills because you don't have no money to pay for them, I don't want to hear shit. Like, I'm to the point where that whole conspiracy theory, urban legend about everybody having an FBI agent watching them, as if we have that many FBI agents. Like, we need a couple hundred just dedicated to social media to start making lists of people that are like, oh, I don't need this. I don't want that. Don't give it to them. Don't give it to them. Don't even tax them for it. Don't give it to them. Let them keep that portion of their taxes so they can see the small amount of their taxes that go to that program that they say they don't want, that they okay with it being shut down because they don't need it. Don't give it to them. Start treating these people like the incessant fucking toddlers that they are. Yes, daiquiri shops are definitely deemed essential. Oh, yeah, the pandemic, between Trump lying, Macedonian politicians lying, and everything, and they keep doing it. Keep doing it. They are fully vaccinated and boosted and still pushing that lie. Y'all, the British Museum has jokes. Just take a look, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
The British Museum wants your help to find a bunch of stolen items. In August, the British Museum in London reported around 2,000 artefacts were missing, stolen, or damaged. A member of staff was sacked and the police launched an investigation. Most of the missing items are Greek and Roman gems and jewellery. They're now looking for people's help to recover a Greek gold chain necklace, a Hellenistic plasma intaglio with a young warrior on a rock, a Roman ring, a Roman sard intaglio, a Roman cameo in orange glass imitating sard, an intaglio in blue glass, a Roman bracelet, a late Bronze Age earring, and a late Bronze Age ring.
Now, I said I got jokes because everything within the British Museum is stolen. So my question is, how do you steal from a thief? It sounds like that there are like a couple nations that was like, you know what? Lizzie's in a box. And we waited long enough to make sure she was in the box and she's going to stay in the box. So since y'all don't want to give us our shit back, we're just going to come get it. Yeah, we're just going to come get it. But that's like me stealing your car. And then you come and steal it back. And I call the cops and go, can you help me get the car I stole back, please? Pretty please, because I need it. I need it. I'm deserving of it. I mean, I was the last one that had it. So, you know, finders keepers. The fuck? The British love stealing shit and then wanting to report when somebody comes steal the shit back. Now, it makes about as much sense as when the mistress becomes the main chick or the wife and then cries when they find out that their open position was filled. Bitch, what did you think? You already told this fool that you was okay with cheating. You gave him the green light. I guess. But you know how we have PragerU? Like, you can just call anything a university, an academy, a school nowadays. Like, fuck accreditation. Just be white, have money, slap something on there. Well, looks like we now have Peterson Academy. I'm going to start Taz University. At least people will actually learn something and won't be grifted out of their money. Y'all could pay me in coffee, wine, and french fries. But take a look.
This video was being made for educational purposes. Are y'all familiar with the name Jordan Peterson? If you are, then, yeah. Y'all probably already know where this video is going. I was on Twitter, and this tweet came across my timeline with a video attached to it about Jordan Peterson. Grab a snack, grab water, sit back, and, do your best to stomach this.
It would be funny if we could blow apart the university system a little bit because it's broken, because of what it did to you. Like, you were alienated out of your job, basically.
You'll be damn fortunate if we can provide you with a list of people who've graduated. And if you had any sense, you'll employ them preferentially because we did the rigorous screening work.
AKA, if you have any sense, you will employ them because they're white.
I know how to do the rigorous screening work because I studied that for like 25 years. A degree from our university will signify high-level conscientiousness and general cognitive ability.
High-level ass-kissery and general apeshit.
And those are very valuable for any employer with a clue. So I think we can just skip the accreditation process and go right to the employers.
We are planning a soft launch in November, and we might be able to change the education system. That's funny. It's weird.
Up yours, woke moralist. Yeah. We'll see who cancels who.
Exactly.
That sort of funny.
That kind of funny.
Oh yeah, that kind of funny.
It's bad enough that we have PragerU. Now we're gonna have Peterson Academy. Respectfully, Jordan Peterson is a nut job. And I say that respectfully, of course, but I say that respectfully because if you follow his Twitter account or have seen his Twitter account, he tweets shit like this. And this isn't even the worst. And now this guy is going to have an academy where he's going to teach people nonsense. This is the fall of America.
And I love how the young lady interviewing him is like making him the victim. You got fired because you were lying to students. You were giving them incorrect information in order to send them off into the world. How does that help anyone? Because as much as I love a good cackle at the stories that come out when citizens of the United States go off to other countries and they have to be schooled, or when you see somebody online say something that's completely false about history, especially of another country, or as if Black people, white people, Asian people, etc., only exist in the United States, which I will never understand that phenomenon of people born, too many people born and raised in the United States that act like this is the end all be all of the globe. Like we the only place that got cars and buildings and but it's also sad. And I'm going to keep saying this until it really, really, truly sinks in. Dumbing down society helps no one. No one. All of these short-term goals to stay in power. Bruh. Y'all gonna Feinstein y'allselves right out. Have your final vote and not peacefully. Because who's going to be the doctor, the nurse, the CNA to take care of you? Who's going to be the attorney to get all your affairs in order? Who's going to be your next investment banker? Who's going to be your financial planner? Who's going to be your real estate agent? And like I've said before, there's no such thing as skilled labor until you can show me somebody who has a career of just who's going to do these things? I don't understand the goal. At least with the Daughters of the Confederacy, they weren't trying to fuck up all education all the way across the board. They left math alone. They predominantly left science alone and medicine alone well enough to keep white people alive for the long term. But they're legitimately trying to just dismantle the entire educational system, removing math books, calling math woke. How are you going to survive without reading, writing, and math? Because you need to read and write and be able to do math to do anything else. Anything else. Now, we know that a shutdown was postponed for now. We're just going to say postponed for now. But let's look at what else was slid in.
Thank you. Would the gentlelady from Connecticut yield for a question?
Yes, happy to.
Thank you. Do you support the Senate version of a CR?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Strongly support the Senate version.
Okay. So the difference between the Senate version and this version is that this version does not include Ukraine funding. So are you telling me that you would shut down the government if there's not Ukraine funding?
I might just say to you that, and maybe you have had the chance to read 71 pages. This bill doesn't extend the authority to help Ukrainian refugees.
Reclaiming my time.
Of course
Reclaiming my
your time.
Reclaiming my time.
I find it very strange indeed that there is no mention of several things, at least preliminarily, which we have looked at in this bill. There are many changes between this bill, as the gentleman asked me, and the Senate bill. There are many changes. The gentleman from New York should understand that there are many changes between this bill and the Senate bill. Here is one that I believe the majority will not mention. They amend the Senate bill to give themselves a pay raise. A pay raise. It's there. Yeah, you can look at me, you can smile, but what you did was you amended the Senate bill to give yourselves a pay raise, while you have threatened day in and day out service members, you have threatened workers across this country, and you've said to them, we don't really care about you and whether or not you can support your family. We don't care about that. No. We mainly care about ourselves and our pay raise. And you know, it pretty is true to form with what the American people thinks about members. But they should know which members are willing to give them up in their own self-interest for a pay raise. It is despicable. You are about to shut the government down. But hours before you do so, you give yourself a pay raise.
Will suspend.
It's pathetic.
Will suspend.
Did Congress give themselves a $39,000 a year raise in this new round of budget appropriations? No, that would be crazy. The American public would go nuts over that. But did they instead secretly sign off on a congressional compensation package that allows members to claim up to $39,000 a year in expenses? According to former Republican Representative Mo Brooks, yes, they did. He claims the change was secretly made in the members' congressional handbook. This handbook details the rules around how congresspeople can spend money, from how many people they can have on staff to what they can pay them to how much they're allowed to expense for meals, entertainment, hotels, travel. And Mo Brooks claims that the committee made the revision to the handbook without conducting official business. They never brought it to the House floor for a vote. Instead, congresspeople are allowed to claim $79 a day in reimbursement for food and beverage. They are also able to claim a daily rate for lodging that is between $172 and $258 per day. Congress is in session 119 days a year, $79 a day for food, up to $258 a day for lodging. That equals about $39,000 in now redeemable expenses. So no, they didn't add cash to their total. According to Mo Brooks, they just did a little magic in the ledger.
Let's break this down. They've convinced their constituency that children do not deserve free lunch, but they just gave themselves free lunch, just like they did in Wisconsin. They're trying to rally the troops against unions and striking, as they're wasting time and not doing the jobs that they were elected to do. But they want more money. They want proper compensation. They don't want to forgive student loans to ease the burden on people who are not millionaires. But they need to ease the burden on when they need to be in DC. And I know that my culinary taste can run on the expensive side at times. But as one individual person, we're not talking about me having somebody else join me for a meal. During the workday, The fuck am I getting for $79 for that? I don't know. Outside of CEOs, COOs, and CFOs and politicians, what other occupation you could have that it is okay for you to fuck off on the clock and not only keep your job, but get perks and pay raises? People lose their shit if they see a cashier sitting down. I've never understood why cashiers have to stand up. It's essentially an office job. You're working with a computer. Why do you have to stand up to do that? You have no problem with all these cashiers sitting down, and they're far more efficient doing so. But they'll lose their shit over that. They'll lose their shit over a retail worker taking a break. But nothing about this. They'll listen to people make fun of their careers as they're bragging on social media. I work 90 hours a week. Yeah, I'm not on the oil rig. Yeah, I might die. I might lose an arm or a leg, but 90 hours a week. Yeah, I don't get to spend none of that money. And then the people they voted into office talk shit about that, say that they don't deserve to be paid properly so that they don't have to work themselves into the grave. Okay. All right. They like it. I love it. Okay. They so worried about their tax dollars as if that's going to Medicaid, Medicare, food stamps, as if these people aren't also paying taxes. They act like every time somebody is approved, and these are not approvals that just willy-nilly are handed out. They take people through the fucking ringer. People are denied for 50 cents, a quarter over this, and the limits are all weird. They don't line up to what the poverty line is in the country. Like, they do everything to distract you and detract you from getting it. But then they turn around and act like soon as somebody's approved, they got to open up their wallet and everybody to chip in $5 for this. What? I guess. But speaking of which, let's help some folks out, because oopsie doodle. There we go. Let's help some people out.
Go to websites to help you find everything that you qualify for in the United States. Benefits.gov, literally. look like AM radio, but they absolutely work. And this is for every state. You don't have to have children. Set aside 30 minutes of your day, because the more questions that you answer, honestly, the more stuff that they give you. And share this video so you can help someone else.
So yeah, there are options out there. Hold on. Okay. The link is benefits.gov, I believe. Hold on. Yeah, benefits.gov. G-O-V as in Victor. G as in go, O as in Oscar, V as in Victor. Benefits.gov. So, to go on the site when you have some time, like the young lady said, it's going to take you about 30 minutes, be completely honest. But if you need help or you know somebody that needs help, get it and share the information. Okay. And I always say share the information because I've been in situations and I've watched people go through situations where folks have gotten an attitude with them because far too often people assume because they know something, other people know something, because they're like, well, we're in similar situations. How come you don't know about this? Because nobody told us. And they're sitting there getting mad, like, you could have helped yourself out of this situation if you would have went down to blah, blah, blah. Like years after my kids were grown, I was talking to a cousin of mine and she was pissed at another cousin, like, why didn't she go to this place? And I'm like, I didn't even know about this place. What? And there was a place local to us at the time that was helping parents, mothers, fathers, guardians with all sorts of stuff for not just babies, but kids and teenagers and all this other stuff. And you could sign up for classes. And once you completed the classes, you got points. You could use the points to shop their store and stuff. I was like, if I would have known, honey. So that's why I always say, share the information. Here we go. There is a new term. So, time to learn about it. It's called racism laundering. Pay attention.
There's a term you may not have heard of that describes something that I've suspected has been going on for a while now. It's called racism laundering. It describes a practice that happens quite often, both in online spaces and IRL. The idea is you get a black or brown person to peddle your white supremacist talking points as their own and thus use their race as a cleansing agent of sorts to help you avoid any accusations of racism. It's essentially blackfishing with consent. This can happen in a couple of ways. It can be self-directed. A black or brown person who sincerely subscribes to conservative ideals can be targeted by right-wing media outlets or political organizations to become a mouthpiece for their white supremacist views. These ultra-right-wing outlets will incentivize a person of color to spew racist ideals in service of their agenda, or it can happen in a more surreptitious way. A scandal at a popular UK paper, the Daily Mail, has exposed an even more sinister form of this practice. Conservative writer Dominique Samuels recently outed the paper for offering to pay her for a, quote, ghost-written, negative, verging on racist piece, which she turned down because it apparently went a bit too far. This time, when a commenter asked her about whether another piece that she had supposedly written that attempted to downplay racism against Meghan Markle was also ghostwritten, she simply responded, yeah, it was. Commenters who are familiar with the Daily Mail's content immediately started to question how far-reaching the practice was, considering that the Daily Mail regularly publishes content by several black conservative writers. This racism laundering seems to play into a larger phenomenon of influence peddling that seems to be much more common than it used to be. The practice of black and brown talking heads, commentators, politicians, and operatives essentially selling their minority status to the highest bidder. I'm sure they see it as a winning strategy. You announce yourself as being amenable to discussing issues from a decidedly conservative, even borderline racist point of view, and you instantly become a hot commodity to the right. They're always in need of black and brown voices to communicate messaging that might come off as racist if it were known to be coming from a white person. And there's the added benefit of pulling more black and brown people into the fold by showing them someone who looks like them, who thumbs their nose in the face of the liberal left. They now get to be the mavericks, the elite, the chosen few who really get it. Racism laundering may not always happen as blatantly as it did with the Daily Mail, but the practice is alive and well. Once you're aware of it, you'll start to recognize the earmarks of it, and hopefully you'll begin to question some of the messaging coming from black and brown people that's meant to normalize white supremacy. Hey DC, I can't wait to see you on the 15th of October. Check the ticket link in the description of this video or in my bio for details.
And if you don't follow her, make sure that you do. And if you like music, like standards, jazz, things like that, she is a great artist. Now, if y'all remember on TikTok, there was a woman that claimed that there was a General Lee Grant that was black. On her new account, she's using clips of Candace Owens and Jeff Mead to substantiate her claims. And this is why they are so popular. And there's another creator, I believe his name is Alpha Wolf. I believe that's the handle he goes by. I'm not always the greatest when it comes to online handles. My apologies. But he even came out and said it a couple months ago that he exists on the internet to say the things that white people wishes that they could say. And that's why he has the following that he has. And that's why so many of his videos and so many of his clips, people are tagged in. They're sent to us. You know, the people will, say download his videos and then upload it to their account as a rebuttal to a comment or a video that we put out. Like, see, he said it. He's just regurgitating talking points and headlines that come off of Fox News. And also, I want to make y'all aware of something. Now, I'm sat back because we know your girl has insomnia. Okay, we're still working on it. We're working on it. I'm taking everybody's advice and tips and trying them out, but gotta trust the process, I guess. But I've conducted a little mini experiment. Like I said, it's been going on for the past couple weeks. There's still more data to collect, but think of this as an interim report. In the wee hours of the night, in the early morning, there are groups of white people who during other times of the day present themselves as allies that are making safe spaces for themselves in echo chamber groups on Facebook and in lives on TikTok. They're saying how they really feel, and they're regurgitating these talking points and getting all of their feelings out in their little safe spaces. And they're acting as if like the whole world is asleep. Once again, that's that mentality of the United States is the end all be all. And in those comment sections, guess who you'll find? All these black conservatives picking up on the talking points and what sounds good. And the next day, you'll see a series of videos from all of them regurgitating those exact talking points. And they do it night after night after night after night. So when you're wondering like, okay, this makes no sense. There are plenty of people out here dispelling it. How are they still getting likes? How are their following counts still going up? Because they're taking notes. This is why. Remember when I showed you all a couple of examples of Jeff Mead glitching out? Because they don't have anything past the talking points. They're literally taking, coming back, regurgitating, boom, 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 boom. And if you ask them any questions beyond that, they shift and pivot to another talking point. Hence the fact that everybody's workout is picking up a goalpost and moving it. Because that's all they can do. It's nothing but a series of talking points. And in these lives, as they're trying to explain their feelings, their opinions, their thoughts on it, it's a continuation of talking points. It's not even, I feel this way about it, or I just did. And they'll say, these are my thoughts on it. And it'll be another series of talking points. It's crazy. It's like watching some children who are just now learning to talk, and they're repeating what they've heard, and it makes no sense, but it's cute because it's kids and they're learning the words. This is how they are over and over and over again. And they're just high five. Yeah, you got, yeah, that's right. Ooh, ooh. The fuck? I'm just saying. Not the greatest thing to come out of my insomnia, but it is something. Okay, it is something. Now, I want to leave y'all with this, and I really want you to pay close attention to this and really, really take it to heart. Okay, really, really take it to heart. Before I let you go, as always, make sure you check out the links in the description of this video. And if you have not already, make sure you subscribe to this channel, click the bell, and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything over here, okay? And if you are not caught up on the Learning Through Black Literature series, it's all in a playlist. Get caught up because there's a new episode coming out tomorrow. And as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Till tomorrow, y'all.
This is why you have to learn the art of ignoring the masses. So I just saw this TikTok of a news segment that ran in 1993. Burger King started accepting credit cards as well as continued to allow people to pay in cash. But these people were pissed. This guy here said that he doesn't think that this will work long term. Someone else said that it's just a way for cashiers to cut corners, have less to do at work. And we can look at these people like, oh, they were so stupid. How did they not know that accepting credit cards was going to be okay? But fact is, people like this exist at every time period in history. They exist right now. There are some people who it's just their nature is to resist. They resist all forms of change. Everything new they are against. And they all think that their resistance is based on logic. But really, they're just a resistant person. And if you are an innovative thinker, if you're someone that has ideas that you really want to get out to the world, you have to know and accept that there will always be resisting people waiting to tell you that that idea is in fact stupid and that the smart thing to do is always nothing. The smart thing to do is always to just lean in on continuing to do what's always been done. Chronically resisting people cannot be convinced. They can only be ignored.